Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I've been gone for a little while. I've been busy setting up the new laser. The last video I dropped was the demo of the new Monport 60 watt. Man, is that thing it's impressive. After working 6 months with a little 10 watt diode, I've gone from a Chevette to a Corvette, and I'm really enjoying life right now in the laser shop. But I wanted to show you the technique on building living hinges. If you have a laser, which I imagine you do, that's why you're watching this channel, you've probably found the box websites where you can build your boxes, and some of them will show you the flexible hinges, the living hinge. So by show of hands, how many of you guys have built a box with the living hinge yet? Come on, show of hands. Okay, there's 1, 2. Well, that's quite a few. So if you haven't and you don't know what a living hinge is, you're not familiar with that, this is a purse that I've built and designed, and the top is the living hinge. This piece flexes. And if you're doing the pre-design, put in your figures and just stamp out a box and use the computer-generated SVGs or whatever, then and you're happy with those, that's great. But if you really want to tackle something new and unique, you've got an idea, but you're like, how do I get that wood to do that? I want it to bend. I just built this. This will be one of the next videos, and I'll be sharing this file on the new channel, the Laser Maker's Realm. This complete design will be free. Now this is, if you're not familiar with them, I didn't know about it till I was asked to make them. This is used for a nightstand or a coffee table book stand, bookmarker. You just lay your open book on there and saves your place. But I designed that from scratch, and I'm going to show you how to make this living hinge in this video. So stay tuned. Okay, so when it comes to living hinges, when you're going to design, you need to know quite a few things. But the two most basic things you need to know are, how big of a radius do you want? Do you want that to be a 4-inch radius from beginning to end, or 2-inch, 1-inch? And then also, how wide or how long, actually how wide is that hinge going to be? So you need to know the height of that hinge, and that's going to be the length of that total radius. So the measurement from this point or up and around that radius to here, and then when standing up, how tall is that radius, or how tall is that hinge? So let's show you how we're going to do that. And we're going to do that because if you're building a box or a purse or whatever you need that hinge, you already know how wide you need it to be. You're going to, okay, I'm building a box that's 10 inches wide and I need a hinge to flip over it. Well, now the question is how big is that radius? It's a 2-inch radius, but that's not a 2-inch hinge to accomplish a 2-inch radius. So how do we determine that? Well, let's jump into Lightburn. Okay. So let's draw a triangle, since that's what I'm working with tonight. Let's see, there we go. I'm actually going to put this on a toolpath and make it a triangle. And make her the right height. Nope. There we go. All right. Now, in order to put my radius on there, if you're not familiar with the radius tool, I'm working in inches. I got my triangle selected. I come over here to the radius tool down here on the bottom left menu, and I put in my value that I want for my radius. If I wanted a 3-inch radius, I'd put in 3. I want a 1-inch radius here. Then you bring your cursor over and hover over that corner, that angle, until you get that little curve in your crosshairs. And you just click on that node, and boom, there you have instantly 2 radius. And that is that. Okay. Now, we need to know, I told that to be a 1-inch radius, but if we look at our nodes, from that node to that node, around that curve is not 1 inch. So how do we determine what that is? It's quite easy, actually. If we use our ruler, we're working in inches, and if you come over here and hover over any segment of a piece on your work table, it's going to show you here your total segment length. And if you notice, the radius is split up into 2 segments. And it is 1.0472 inches, which is right there, 1.0472. But there's 2 of them. Keep that in mind. Don't mess up. Sometimes a radius will show you 1 segment for the radius, but pay attention. Is it 1 segment, 2 segments? How many segments have you got? All right, now I know the size of my hinge. How, you say? Well, that size of that segment, we no longer need this triangle, so we're going to get rid of that. We're going to draw a rectangle. Not a rectangle, there we go. And first thing I'm going to do is the width, which is the total length of that radius, which was 1.0472 for 1 segment times 2, and that is the total width. And I had that locked, doesn't matter, but that's the width of both segments, 2.0944. Now my height is going to be how long, how deep is that box going to be. In this case, it's 7 inches. So that, I'm on a rotator. I'm going to rotator. That there is that if it was flat. So there's our template, our toolpath for creating that hinge. Now, we need to make all them little bitty cuts. How many cuts? How long? How wide? Spacing? A lot of things to think about. Now, when I do them, I like for my cuts, the gap in between those cuts, just a little square right there. I like for those to be the same width of my material, the same thickness of my material. It just, to me, it just adds some uniformity. And my brain sees that. Hello, Rain Man. I don't know. So this material is 4.5 millimeters thick. So I'm going to need what, 4? And how many cuts am I going to put across there? I like to do on a small box, 6 to 8 inches. Start out with 5 cuts. So I know I need 5 cuts, and I need them 4.5 millimeters apart, and I know that my total width is 7 inches. So now we have to do math to figure out how big our cut's going to be. And I don't know if my calculator is going to show up on this screen or not, but we're going to try. All right, so clear everything out. So we have, in fact, I'm going to convert here to millimeters. So 177.8 millimeters is our total length, but we have 4.5 millimeters between each cut, and we need 4 spaces. So 4 times 4.5 millimeters is 18 millimeters of uncut material. So 177 is the total. Subtract 18 millimeters. I didn't do 177. Let's try that again. 177.8. Subtract 18. So 159.8 is our total length of cut. I need 5 cuts. Divide that by 5. So 31.96 millimeters is the total length of one cut. 31.96. So I'm coming down here, select my cut line, select the pencil, my cut layer rather. Start drawing a line. And if you're not aware, when you're trying to draw a straight line, if you just hold your shift key, that locks it. See, the cursor won't let it move around now. Draw a straight line. Come on. Draw a straight line. And now we're going to tell it to be 31.96 millimeters long. So there's our first cut. Now let's put it in position by just holding our shift key, selecting our work path, move it to the left, move it to the bottom. Now we're going to create an array. We need an array that's going to fill that entire toolpath. In fact, let's bring it, there we go, so you can see better. All right, now, so starting there, I'm going to create an array to fill that entire toolpath. And I need that to be we'll say it's actually 4.9 millimeters thick. Well, no, 4.5 millimeters thick, because that's what we did on our spacing. All right, so I need to set in my array, I need to set my X spacing and my Y spacing at 4.5 millimeters. Okay? And I need to create how many? Oh, I've got all of it. Cancel that, because I've got everything. I don't want, there we go. No, I only want that line. Thank you. Now the array. And make sure your X and Y is at 4.5. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll turn off. No, I can't turn it off right now. Now I need how many rows? I need to create enough rows to fill that entire toolpath. And even if there it goes out a little bit, that's fine. But it can't be short. So, okay. Now we're going to create, and now I can turn off the cut layer so you can see there, or the toolpath rather. So that's a nice full toolpath. Now I need to create a second array, but I got to position my beginning cut in the proper orientation before I can do that. So an easy way to do that without having to do a whole lot of math is to start a second array from this position, but we don't, well actually, so just do array tool, and here what we're going to do is we're going to move it up and shift it by half. But this time, instead of 4.5 millimeters, we're going to change our Y spacing to half of that, to 2.25, which is half of that 4.5. So 2.25, and we're going to shift by half and tell it to give us, there we go, 1 row. So that just put that up and over, shifted by half and half the distance to the one above it. Say okay. Now, when we did that, it actually created another duplicate right there. So there's actually, if I turn off my toolpath, so you can see that one's selected. Now when I drag that out of the way, oh no, it didn't. And previous ways, the way that I've done that, I've created 2 of them. So just undo, put it back. Great, that's done. So now I'm going to create an array from this one. But I want to put that Y spacing back to the 4.5 millimeters. And I'm going to fill that up, but this time I don't want to go past that top row because it's already beyond our toolpath. So, but we do want it to extend outside of the toolpath. Like so. Oh, one more. Can we get one more in there? No, see, I got to roll out a little bit. Nope, that's it. That's it. Okay. Now turn our toolpath back on so we can see. All right, done. Something just don't look right. I didn't turn off the shift by half. That's why it don't look right. Okay, let's undo all that. Come back to here. So guys, I don't rehearse these videos. Array, turn off that shift by half. 4.5, 4.5. That's good. Now, there, that looks better. I knew something wasn't quite right on that one. All right. Turn your toolpath back on. We're actually going to need that toolpath. It's going to be our cut tool, because we only need that area the toolpath is in. But remember, that top row went beyond our toolpath and we need it. So we are going to select just the toolpath and do not drag from the corners, because we don't want to change the width of that hinge, but we do need to change the height. So you can just drag it up. And you also need to do it at the bottom, because those first cuts are right on the toolpath and we don't need them to be on the toolpath. So drag it down. So now, with that done, we're going to, in fact, I should have grouped everything to begin with, because right now, see, that's individual. We need all those on the same group. There's a couple of different ways we can do that, but in this case, for me, the easiest way is to come to Edit, select all shapes on current cut layer, and just hit group. Now, those are all grouped together. So with those grouped, select it, and then hold shift and select your tool path, and tools, cut shapes, and now just hit your delete key. And boys and girls, there is your living hinge for that project. This video is getting long, so we're going to leave it at that, but that's how you design a living hinge. I will do more videos showing how to take that information and incorporate it into a square, and real quick, or rectangle rather. If this particular rectangle, say, was 14 inches by 7, there we go, 14 by 7. Got it in millimeters. There we go. So if we were to cut that right there, that would fold right up. So there's one, and in this case, we needed 2 of them. So all you have to do, you've already created, and they're going to be identical. So Control D, duplicate it, move it down. And wherever those hinges are at, that wood's going to fold accordingly in a 1-inch radius. If you wanted to be much larger, in this case, it was like a 3.5-inch radius, then you would have done all that additional computations from the beginning. But you can make these as big as you want and as wide as you want. The thinner the material, the less friendly they are, because your flimsy material is liable to crack anyway. You start cutting it, you're making it weaker. I've had success with these on 3.5 millimeter, but not much less. Maybe down to 1/8, but you got to be careful. So this has been a long video. Hopefully some of you really have stuck with me through the end of this. I didn't lose you along the way. If you did, you got that rewind button, back it up. But learning how to create flex hinges opens the door to possibilities of creating your own projects like this. This was not a template. This was not something I downloaded. I sat down and just drew this in my head and then on Lightburn and put it all together. And I like that a lot. I don't read. I don't need it. But I enjoyed making it. And I will share this project on the Laser Makers realm. Guys, I hope you enjoy these videos as much as I do, because I have a ball making them. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the Laser Makers realm. If you hadn't subscribed to this one, do that. You're going to see this video coming up soon with the free downloads. Free. Did I say free? Free download for the complete file for Lightburn, SVG, AI, several different formats in order to create this product. And it's free. Did I say it was free yet? All you got to do is jump over there, subscribe, and we officially launch in January. We've already got people lining up, anxious. We're anxious. We're looking forward to putting that together for you. I'm rambling. This is Steve. I'm Hobo with Wood, and I'm out. See you in the next video.